All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Straight Talk, and this is going to be lit tonight, as far as I can make it. Because, I've been saying that SABN, which has been the center of my podcast, is absent, and YouTube has banned it for whatever reason. It doesn't make any sense, because they were really putting it out to the information that's coming out of Africa and what that means, and how we can grow into that and what that entails for the world, right? So, but tonight, we got one, so at least they're putting out something, because normally they would be putting out something every other day or every day, man. It's like it was hard to try to, keep up. But I'm hoping that they'll come back. But anyways, we're going to go on and look for, play the video from them, and then we'll move on to other areas that I think are important to talk about. And how that plays into today's world and what's going on. The SNAP benefits that are being cut on the 1st of November, who is occupying that line to get food stamps, because, in the beginning, it was only white folks, 100%. And minorities, talking about black people, that started in the 1960s. So, and then, today, and then we'll get into it, but today that number is like 60% white, and I think it's like 20% black and Latino and other. The white folks are just lazy. They're always talking about, people, you pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Well, they didn't do it. But anyway, let's get on with the first one. This was the brand new one that comes out of, about 6 hours ago, it comes out of Supreme African Network. It used to be Supreme African Breaking News, SABN, now it's SAN. So make sure you sign up for that and you subscribe to their channel on YouTube. And 12 minutes long, and I'll be right back.
The shadows on the sea. From the Gulf of Guinea to the Red Sea, gray silhouettes cut through Africa's blue waters. Warships, American, French, British, Chinese, Indian, moving under flags of friendship, security, or trade. Each claims to protect something. Anti-piracy missions, humanitarian convoys, freedom of navigation. But beneath those polished press releases lies a harder question. Who really controls African waters? And what does that mean for the future of African sovereignty? Tonight, we unpack the new great game. Not on land, but at sea. Part 1. Africa's sea borders, the invisible frontier. Africa's coastline stretches nearly 31,000 kilometers, touching 2 oceans and 4 major trade corridors. 90% of all African exports travel by sea. Oil from Nigeria, cobalt from Congo, platinum from South Africa, and food supplies up through the Suez. Yet for decades, maritime policy has been Africa's blind spot. Many states invested in armies, not navies. Ports became customs points, not defense posts. That vacuum invited external guardians, and now fleets from every superpower patrol waters that technically belong to us. Director Nyoka, a senior intelligence strategist, calls it the quiet frontier. Land borders make headlines, he says. Sea borders decide economies. Why foreign warships are here? The official answer is simple. Security and trade. The U.S. Navy and NATO run anti-piracy operations off Somalia. France maintains bases in Djibouti and the Indian Ocean to protect shipping lanes to Europe. China built its first overseas naval base in Djibouti in 2017 to secure trade through the Red Sea. India, Japan, and Turkey all maintain escorts for commercial vessels. These deployments are legal under international law, but the scale and frequency of exercises have increased dramatically since 2020. Every few months, a new joint operation passes through African waters, mapping ports, refueling, testing radar. Analysts like Ms. Lumo, a cyber satellite expert working with Afrinet's Maritime Tracking Division, say the continent's digital ocean is being mapped as aggressively as its land ever was. Whoever controls the maritime data controls the trade, she warns, and trade is power. Part 3. The Colonial Memory. For Africans, foreign ships always carry echoes of the past. Centuries ago, the first colonial presence arrived by sea, gunboats, missionaries, merchants. So when modern warships return claiming to keep peace, many citizens see ghosts instead of allies. Colonel Vuma, a veteran strategist, says it's natural to feel cautious. History taught us that when ships stay too long, flags start changing. He adds that recolonization today doesn't need conquest. It happens through contracts, data, and dependency. This emotional memory fuels the call for an African maritime awakening, a coordinated effort to turn ports into power centers, not entry points. Part 4. The Price of Dependence. Foreign navies don't patrol for free. Each mission comes with logistics contracts, port fees, fuel deals, and political expectations. A 2023 African Development Bank study estimated that $50 billion a year flows out of Africa through shipping insurance, foreign maintenance, and licensing fees paid to companies based abroad. Economist Dr. Tamba breaks it down. When a French or American fleet guards your trade routes, your own naval industry stops growing. You rent protection instead of building it. That dependency keeps Africa paying rent on its own waters, an invisible tax for underinvestment. Part 5. The Rise of African Naval Power. But that tide is changing. Over the past decade, Nigeria launched the Deep Blue Project, deploying drones, aircraft, and naval units to cut piracy in half. Kenya, South Africa, and Egypt are modernizing fleets with home-built patrol vessels. The Southern African Development Community now runs joint maritime patrols, while the African Union's 2050 maritime strategy aims to create regional Coast Guard zones. Ambassador Kyra, who sits on the AU Maritime Commission, says it's not about competition, it's about confidence. The goal is cooperation without dependence. Africa must welcome partners, but under African command. Part 6. Data is the new Navy. Physical ships are only half the battle. The other half floats in the cloud. Through Afrinet, Africa's new digital backbone, satellite feeds track every vessel entering continental waters. Ms. Lumo explains that Afrinet's maritime surveillance grid now covers the Atlantic and Indian Ocean approaches. Before Afrinet, we relied on Western intelligence feeds to know who entered our ports. Now, we see them first. The technology, powered by African engineers, uses AI to distinguish between cargo ships and military vessels, reducing surprise and improving crisis response. This digital sovereignty is what some analysts believe unsettles external powers the most. A continent that can see, calculate, and decide for itself. Part 7. The Diplomatic Dance. No government publicly admits distrust. When questioned, Western officials say their navies operate transparently and coordinate with host nations. In truth, relationships vary. South Africa cooperates openly. Angola and Tanzania prefer minimal engagement. Eritrea and Sudan oscillate between East and West alliances. In Addis Ababa, diplomats call it maritime poker. Each foreign fleet seeks port access without appearing imperial. Each African bloc tries to balance partnerships without losing autonomy. Director Nyoka summarizes it. The ocean has become a negotiation table. Every ship is a card. Every port, a chip. Our Part 8, Economic Stakes and Global Rivalry. Africa sits between Asia's factories and Europe's consumers. Its seas host the arteries of global trade, the Suez Canal, the Cape Route, and the Atlantic Corridor. Whoever secures these arteries secures leverage in world politics. That's why superpowers invest in presence, not invasion, but positioning. Each port call, joint drill, or anti-piracy escort serves a secondary goal, ensuring influence when Africa's resource and digital economies take off. Dr. Tamba calls it geoeconomic insurance. They insure their access before Africa ensures its sovereignty. Part 9. Africa's response. The One Africa Navy concept. Within AU circles, plans for a Continental Maritime Command, nicknamed One Africa Navy, are gaining traction. The idea is not a single army, but interoperable fleets sharing training, technology, and intelligence. Pilot projects in West and East Africa already share satellite feeds and maintenance hubs. Colonel Vuma believes this is the logical next step. Unity at sea doesn't require one flag. It requires one radar. He argues that joint African patrols will reduce reliance on external powers while building trust among neighbors. Part 10. The role of Afrinet and private innovators. Africa's tech community is now entering defense innovation. Startups in Nigeria, Kenya, and South Africa design drone systems that monitor fisheries and illegal cargo. Engineer Zola from the Afrinet Systems Lab says these tools turn youth innovation into national security. When African coders write the code that protects African waters, recolonization becomes impossible. Part 11. Global reactions. Foreign observers are taking note. Think tanks in Washington and Brussels have published reports on Africa's growing naval coordination. They warn that regional assertiveness could complicate Western security partnerships. Translation: Africa's independence changes the power map. At the same time, China and India seek deeper cooperation, offering joint shipbuilding projects. Africa must balance these interests carefully, learning from the past, not repeating it. Part 12. Media and public perception. Many Africans still view warships as distant concerns. News cameras focus on elections, not escort fleets. Yet those fleets influence everything from fuel prices to internet cables. Supreme Africa Network has therefore launched a new series tracking maritime movements and their political impact. By educating the public, Africa builds collective vigilance, a soft defense as powerful as any missile. Part 13. Legal tools and international law. Under the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, African nations control 200 nautical miles of exclusive economic zone. Beyond that, freedom of navigation applies, but coastal states can still monitor and challenge unusual activity. Legal scholars urge the AU to form a continental maritime tribunal to handle disputes quickly. That would let Africa settle issues in African courts, not in The Hague. Part 14. Environmental dimension. Warships bring ecological risks: sonar harming marine life, fuel leaks near coral reefs, and overfishing by escort fleets. Environmental watchdogs from Seychelles to Senegal report growing pollution linked to heavy naval traffic. A greener African maritime policy would require transparency from all visiting fleets. Part 15. The future of African ports. New ports are rising. Lamu in Kenya, Lekki in Nigeria, and Walvis Bay in Namibia. These will host commercial cargo but can double as naval repair hubs. If managed wisely, port revenue can fund education and shipbuilding, converting strategic geography into prosperity. Ambassador Kyra envisions an AU port certification system that rewards sustainability and local job creation. Ports must feed people, not power politics. Part 16. The information front. Information warfare accompanies naval power. Foreign media often frame African security actions as instability, while presenting foreign presence as stability. Supreme Africa Network's mission is to correct that imbalance. Facts first, pride second, propaganda never. Director Nyoka notes that narrative control is part of defense. If you let others tell your story, you've already lost half the battle. Part 17. What sovereignty really means. True sovereignty at sea doesn't mean rejecting partners. It means defining the terms. It means joint drills where Africa leads, data storage inside the continent, and procurement that grows local industry. And it means seeing every ship as a learning opportunity, not a threat, but never again as a master. Part 18. Lessons from history. When the Berlin Conference divided Africa, the seas were the silent enabler. Whoever commanded them commanded trade, supply, and access. Today, history repeats not through invasion, but through infrastructure. That's why the One Africa vision treats maritime security as the backbone of continental unity. Part 19. Voices of the next generation. Across African maritime academies, young cadets train with renewed purpose. They study naval engineering, cyber oceanography, and environmental law. For them, independence isn't abstract, it's sonar and software. Sister Beneza, who runs youth programs for the AU, calls them the sailors of sovereignty. Part 20. Conclusion. The Sea of Tomorrow. Warships around Africa are not proof of recolonization. They are reminders of unfinished independence. The continent stands at a strategic crossroads. Either remain a spectator in its own waters, or become the author of its maritime destiny. As the waves crash against Cape Town, Mombasa, and Alexandria, one truth echoes across the ports. Sovereignty begins where the shoreline ends. Africa's challenge is not to chase foreign fleets away, but to rise strong enough that they come with respect, not permission. This is Takunda Mavika for Supreme Africa Network, where analysis meets accountability and Africa sails its own course.
Yes, sir. So, we're at a crossroads, you guys. Economic crossroads, political crossroads, spiritual, and physical. At some point, you gotta say enough is enough. At some point, you gotta stand up, grab your fucking dick and ball, and act like a fucking man. Black people are not scared of white people. That's the narrative that they want to put out. Fuck all white folks and they bullshit narrative story. The most hated man on the goddamn planet is the white boy. And that's how it goes. There's no if, there's no and, there's no but. We all know that white people did not create that one world civilization and that one world philosophy and or religion. Those were done by black people. We all know that black people civilized white people 3 times. Once in Egypt, and they fucked that up. Once in Greece and Rome, they fucked that up. And they fucking up now. They're going to have 100-year start. Or some people say 400-year start. And they fucked it up. How do you fuck up a 400-year start or 100-year start? With $38 trillion in debt. All of Europe is broke. How do you do that? I just don't understand how that happened. And the reason why is white folks don't know how to do shit. They don't know how to do shit. They don't know how to do shit. They'll run it right into the ground and say, oops. And this is where black people come in. We take it over. We do it better. We bring it back into balance, ma'at, and let it be what it's going to be. You know what I mean? White people don't know what they are fucking doing. Period. They've been given everything. At the foundation of this country in the 1800s, they were given land grants. Free land, millions of acres. Cows, seeding, you know. And they fucked it up. Why? Because they're a fucker. And let's keep this shit on 100. $38 trillion in debt. And now you're going to try to brush it off on XRP and the middle class. Trump. I mean, who does that? And so what we're going to be seeing is a Trump card being played by Africa on February 26, 2026. Excuse me. We're going to see that the amalgamation formation of the United States of Africa. Gold is the true currency of the world. And Europe doesn't have any gold. America, from what I'm understanding, from what I've seen, doesn't have any gold. And it's just a matter of time before all of the gold, if you want to deal with Africa, is going to be flowing back into Africa. Mama Africa is woke now. She is not going back to sleep. All of her children from around the world are waiting and are actively beating that ass of the white boy and girl. I'm not here to propagate hate, because you know what? They've done that already. For the last 100 plus fucking years, 150 years, white people have caused angst, murder, rape, suicide from losing everything from that black people have lost, stolen everything, and then turn around and tell black people pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Ain't that a bitch? But when a black person or black people as a whole tell you, I bet we're gonna take that bet, and they just waiting in the cut, waiting in the cut. It's like the story of the rabbit and the hare, or no, I'm sorry, the turtle and the hare. We know who won, the turtle, and we know why the turtle won, and that is because white people went to sleep for about 120 years and woke up and found out that the race is over. It's over. Simple, cut, and dry. So the next video we're going to be looking at is D.L. Hughley, which is a very famous comedian, and he's talking about white people losing their SNAP benefit or food stamps. They're the biggest motherfuckers going on food stamps, on DEI, on affirmative action, you name it. But they put a black face on it. Well, you're here. Let's get going.
Atlanta for Comedy Hype News, I'm John Apple. When you typically vote for a candidate, your hope is that he or she will look out for your best interests and follow through with promises they made during their election run. When it comes to President Donald Trump supporters, a few of them are now feeling some of the uncomfortableness they may have only wanted for others as a part of their vote.
Let's get back.
Are now feeling some.
You see this creature, this cretin? These motherfuckers are looking like this and telling black folk, nigga, and you know the script. You're lazy, you're trifling, you don't want to work, mother. Oh, I beg your pardon. I beg your motherfucking pardon. These are the kind that you shake your head at, man. Low life, beer drinking, having babies everywhere, being irresponsible, and don't deserve no fucking food stamps. High than a motherfucker on meth, crack, drugs, all kind of shit. Let's continue.
The uncomfortableness they may have only wanted for others as a part of their vote. The U.S. Department of Agriculture has now confirmed that SNAP benefits to help families afford food will not be going out in November. On the department's main site, the following message will be pinned to the homepage. Senate Democrats have now voted 12 times to not fund the food stamp program, also known as the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP. Bottom line, the well has run dry. At this time, there will be no benefits issued November 1st. We are approaching an inflection point for the Senate Democrats. They can continue to hold out for health care for illegal aliens and gender mutilation procedures, or reopen the government so mothers, babies, and the most vulnerable among us can receive critical nutrition assistance. Now, the message, which also appears to put the blame on Democrats for the current withholding of any SNAP funds being sent out, appears to be the first time the government would confirm that there will be no food stamps in November. Now, amongst the many who are not putting blame on Democrats for the current food stamp shutdown is D.L. Hughley, who would sound off on Instagram about SNAP benefits being cut in November. Hughley would specifically call out Trump supporters who use food stamps and any misinformation saying that the benefits being cut will disproportionately hurt Black Americans. So it isn't just hurting the people you want. More of you, more of his supporters, more people that wanted him to win, more people that are supportive of him will be hurt than other people. That word disproportionately ain't going to matter when you're freezing and cold. As a matter of fact, if the heating subsidies are not renewed, and if SNAP benefits out there around Thanksgiving, there won't have been this many cold and hungry white people since the Pilgrims landed here. Since Plymouth Rock. And this time, there ain't gonna be no Indians to bail you out. Yeah, listen. If you didn't know, white Americans make up 37% of SNAP users, while Black Americans make up 26% and Hispanic Americans at 16%. Hughley would go on to post a video of Trump addressing the current food stamp crisis and followed it up with his own commentary, pointing out that white Republicans will feel it the most. For his caption, he would write, "I hope MAGA can fill their bellies and heat their homes with hate this holiday season." Hughley would then go on to push more criticism towards the current administration by sharing a father outraged by his toddler's daycare needing to start a food bank.
We're not feeding the babies we have. Why does the government want more? I know you're thinking, what's your statistic? Where's your proof that we're not feeding the babies we have? Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's the fact that my toddler's daycare just opened a food bank in the fucking lobby? My toddler's daycare just opened a food bank in the fucking lobby because his classmates might not be able to eat.
Now,
Fuck you. Get a fucking job, bitch. Get a fucking job.
reported the current shutdown is due to both Republicans and Democrats not coming to an agreement over issues like health care. It has also been reported that the Republicans who control both the House and Senate could possibly scramble to find the funds needed so millions of Americans won't go without. As you should know, today marks the 27th day of the government shutdown and has already impacted many by it. One Trump supporter would even go viral for calling out Democrats for his recent troubles by not receiving his food stamp benefits.
This motherfucker look like he got half a fucking
Thanks to
brain.
the Democrats, I may not get food stamps next
Fuck
month.
you. Get a job, bitch.
Now, this
Sorry,
would
ass
spark
looking
many
motherfucker.
Democrats to respond, speaking out against the man's claims, with one even addressing that the man may not understand the full context of the matter. I feel bad for this guy. He doesn't understand. Let's talk about
He
in the comments
understand.
below. Who is to blame for the now confirmed food stamp shutdown? And did MAGA voters play themselves with their vote? Stay up to date for the latest news and comedy by subscribing here to our YouTube channel. And if you enjoy content like this, check out hypersclub.com to get a full membership to watch full interviews and more original content. And of course, if you have a story you think we should cover, send us a message now at hyperlurch.com. We're live from Hypers Club in Atlanta for Comedy Hype News. I'm John Apple.
So look, I give no fucks about these motherfuckers. We've been getting over and over and over talking about black, my people, that we're lazy and trifling, don't want to work. Motherfucker. See, it always comes down to the wire. The truth always comes out in the end. White boys and girls are the biggest fucking criminals, laziest motherfuckers on the goddamn planet. If you look at Israel and all those fake ass Jews over there getting money from America in the billions, tens of billions every fucking year, they sitting on their ass doing nothing. We are the real Jew. The house of Judah belongs to black people, and particularly the African Americans. We're all over the world, don't get me wrong, but where is the justice for the true house of Judah? And white males, boys, are losing their fucking mind. Losing it. I mean, how do you do that in the middle of your anxiety and your desire, thinking that you can do better than black people and you're not really doing shit? We'll get into that right now with Nick Fuentes and Tucker Carlson. I'll be right back.
Oh my goodness. So I saw the recent interview of Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes, and I couldn't help but get an overwhelming emotion of sadness. To be honest with you, all I felt was I genuinely felt sympathy for these two guys, for the white male, adult male, and the white youth. I just couldn't help but feel sadness when watching this interview, because we're looking at what is considered peak white youth male, the representation peak white male right now currently in the political arena, and it honestly is biblical where we are in this country, where it talks about, in the scripture of building your house on the sand versus building it on the rock. Because when the waves come, your house on the sand is going to fall apart. And what we are witnessing is really the collapse of many white males. And I don't mean all, because there are many that are fine, but there are many currently right now that are losing it. they are collapsing. They are deteriorating in front of our faces because they built their house on control. Right? When it comes to their women, they've always had control of their women. When it comes to any type of respect of other groups, black people, if you looked at a white.
I don't want to cut it off, but listen. This is all about their little dick energy of white boy trying to get all up into the black pussy of black women and Asian women and whatever woman. They're losing their mind. They actually believe that they are the daddy of the world, and the real daddy of the world is the black man and woman. We are the parents of all humanity, and they have taken our flower beds of Eve, thinking that they can do us, and we're about to do them. It's going to be a hot mess, I'm telling you.
Man of wrong way, you'd be lynched. If his wife were to talk back to him, he would assault her. And you're seeing this collapse of this control, this hierarchy, and a lot of their privilege is being stripped from them. A lot of their control is being stripped from them. We see this on a relationship standing, where their women, the control and the power they had at one period of time has been gone. Now the women can go into the workforce. Now they're earning more than their counterparts and white men and white youth. Now they're choosing. Now they get to choose who they want to be with. See?
And white women are choosing black men. Boom. They don't want shit to do with the white boy. They want that cucumber.
In many cases, it's not the white male or the white youth. Now it's, they have a litany of men to choose from. Damn. So now they've lost control there. When it comes to income, right? That was one thing that they had control. They had power. Hey, I'm the breadwinner. Anything that happens has to come through me. Well, now that they've lost control over that, and when we look at the job market, they're losing jobs to H-1B visa workers. Now we're seeing as far as, the ICE, right? They're hoping that the ICE raids balance the playing field, but it's not. It's not the Indian guy that is the reason why you lost a job. You're just not qualified for the job. It's not DEI that made you lose a job. You're just not qualified for the job. So they're losing control there. And what is happening is that this empire that they built on the sand of superiority, and it's our way or the highway, their control over religion. Hey, it's white Christian male. That's that is the elite of this country. We're starting to.
And Jerry Falwell, I think that was his father's name, but his son lost the power position in that because he loved his wife getting fucked by another guy as he watched. And that a bitch, you preach all this bullshit, and it's just the typical white boy. You preach all this bullshit about evangelism, right? And doing the right thing and not having sex before bitch, please. All them hoes. I fucking hope. You better believe that. Because the majority of hoes go to church and they are right there. Trying to save their own asses from being hoes. And that's whole female and whole male. You better believe that shit. So don't go blind on me now.
An erosion of that. Many people turning away from the thing due to the representation that we have. Damn. Every single point is crumbling, and they don't know what to do. It's gotten so bad where you're having white men dress up in Nazi uniforms in hopes to gain some type of financial backing, such as the guy recently who did that, and now he's doing a GoFundMe, or I think it's Gibson Go, where he's trying to accumulate. I think it was over like $200K or something like that. Like it's pathetic. The state at which they are in.
He's out of line, but he's right.
And because they're grown so accustomed to this power, to this control, it being stripped away from them, they don't have an identity. We're witnessing them having an identity crisis. That's why you see when it comes to the school shootings, that's why you see when it comes to suicide rates, that's why you see when it comes to depression, when it comes to the birth rates, there is a collapse that we are witnessing. And they are banking everything right now on Donald Trump. That's what they're banking. They're banking on Donald Trump and people like Nick Fuentes and people like Tucker Carlson to re-energize them of like their manhood, of their purpose, that hey, this is a white country and we gotta stand up and fight and we can't allow this to happen. And it's just, it's pathetic. It's genuinely pathetic to see, but it's also sad, man.
There's nothing less.
Going into the interview, one way that they managed to cope with this loss of power is the blame game. Everything, every accusation is confession for these people, for this lineage of evil. So you have, Nick Fuentes talk about that he got radicalized by Mark Levin, which I think is hilarious, when it comes to race, where it's like, hey, if white people aren't the majority in this country, that would be a bad thing.
I was listening to Mark Levin's show. America's becoming a majority non-white country. Does anybody think that's a good idea? And I was thinking to myself, yeah, that actually doesn't sound so good.
And that's what we're seeing with this administration. That's what we're seeing with a lot of the white youth that are being galvanized and radicalized due to not having any other purpose. Damn. It's sad, but they cope with it by saying, hey, it's the Jewish person, right? It's the Jew's fault that I can't get a woman because of the interracial propaganda. It's the Jew's fault that I can't get a job and create this nuclear family because of the DEI. It's the Jew's fault that, they're having these laws that are benefiting or stopping the racism because, of CRT. They're teaching it into the, in the schools and blaming white people. It's the Jews' fault. And that's, 9 out of 10 where you see a lot of these fragile, white youth and white men go to. It's the blame game. Beta! And if you think about it, that in and of itself is sad. Because, you're saying you're the superior race of people, you do everything great, you create, 5 kings, you civilization builders, but you're losing the country and you're losing by every metric to a group of Jewish people? Is that that's what you're telling me? You're losing to these people? It's kind of pathetic, to be honest. And I think we're seeing just a circular turn of events where it's like they blame, and then it's like that's kind of pathetic to admit that. Then they blame, that's kind of pathetic to admit that. They blame, that's kind of pathetic to admit that. While at the same time, they had this vision of themselves, once again goes back to control, right? They control how they are perceived. They control how we are perceived and how other groups of people are perceived. And you see that their vision of how they view themselves is like this Chad alpha male who's like, just a ruler of the world. And in reality, it's furthest thing from the truth. It's the furthest thing from the truth. You see a lot of these racists, a lot of these, the white nationalists and whatnot, they are always on the polar opposites of the spectrum. Either they're very skinny and fragile, they look very frail or in their appearance, or you have these bloated, fat, corpulent individuals, and it's just like, neither one of them is this Chad image that they view themselves as. One part of the interview that really sent me into the spiral of depression was Nick Fuentes talking about, why he's not married and, the relationship a gap and what's going on right now.
I mean, honestly, it's the women. The women are extremely liberal. I don't know. I personally find women very frustrating.
And, Tucker Carlson apologizes for calling him gay. Nick Fuentes doesn't even acknowledge it, right? He just smiles. That's because Nick Fuentes is a homosexual. That's really the comedy of this all, is that he's a homosexual. He's been caught watching trans porn. The constant degeneracy that he speaks ill against, this is what, he's consuming on a regular basis.
I'm sorry I called you gay, by the way.
But the comedy and the ironic part of this interview is them professing to be high IQ and high impulse control, right? That's like the stereotype that they love to throw on black people. Oh, you guys are low impulse control, right? And I find it hilarious because this goes back to, once again, control. is that it got to a point in the conversation where they're talking about, hey, we should throw people who do porn in jail. The people who, create porn, throw them in jail. They should be stopped. We should stop OnlyFans. We should stop all of this.
Like, if a candidate were to come out and say, we ought to arrest the guys who own MindGeek, which is the biggest, I think it's the biggest porn supplier in the world, or the guys who run OnlyFans. I hope someone will say that. And I hope someone arrests them, like, right away.
I find it fascinating that they profess to have such high impulse control, but they admit that they have such low control over their impulses that the only way to stop them from this degeneracy is to make it illegal. Did anyone find that interesting? You're telling me the only way for white males, for white youth to stop, because he said weed, porn, and gambling, or whatever, the only way, or video games, that's what it was.
This is their life. Weed, gaming, porn, and I think they know it's bad.
The only way for white males to stop that is to make it illegal? What happened to this impulse control? What happened to this high IQ? You know that it's doing harm, but you lack the IQ to go about and seek treatment, which ironically, makes up 92% of sex addicts who go and seek treatment is white males.
That in a representative sample of people in sex addiction treatment, 92 were white boys.
And then you lack the impulse control to just stop this degenerate behavior. But yet you want to profess, your low IQ, low degeneracy. It's comedy. It really is comedy. It goes back to what is with the CPAC, where they broke Grindr. They shut down the servers. It's just you're finding all these MAGA pastors who are talking, this is horrible, and then they get arrested with child material, right? Or they find out that they're committing let's say non-heterosexual acts. And it's fascinating to see. It's truly fascinating to see. Like I said, this interview just really made me feel sad. It just really made me feel sad, the state of white men and white youth currently in 2025. Because if this is where we're headed, we are in for some rough times. And I think it's up to black men to help when it comes to this incel range, okay? If a black man could have reached some of these white kids who've gone into the schools, who've gone into the churches, we could single-handedly take down much of these, just inane mass shootings. We can do that. Now, whether we...
Man, I don't know what, and I like this guy, I don't know what he's talking about. If you're trying to stop a white boy from killing people, especially our people, you need to kill him. You need to fucking kill him. Stop doing all this bullshit, or let go along to get along, and all this motherfucking friendly kumbaya bullshit. Get your fucking gun. Take that motherfucker to that goddamn church. And if one of these motherfuckers come in there, you pull it out and you point.
Choose to, that's yet to be seen. But I urge black men to adopt an incel. This is something that I stand firm on. Adopt them. You can save, a ton of kids.
We tried that, bro.
You could save a ton of people.
3 times we civilized these motherfuckers.
Just adopt them and teach them
3 strikes you out.
To women. And I think a lot of that would be, that would change the world. Anyways, guys, that's a video. Let me know what you guys think. That's racist, okay? That's racism, all right? Jesus racist. Or I believe, you see, that right there, calling me a racist for speaking facts, that hurt your feelings.
Facts.
Not
feelings, not emotions.
That right there, that's what I'm talking about, bro. What happened to y'all, huh? What happened to the White Kings? What happened to the civilization builders? Hell, I'd even settle for a slave master, bro. Right now, I don't even think y'all even have it in you to be slave masters.
They never did. They were the slaves in America.
That's how people and docile y'all become. I don't know. I guess we need to really have a "Make White Men Great Again" campaign. That's what needs to happen. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoy the video. If you happen to disagree, you know where to find me. Thursday through Saturday, Disagreement Day. You can call and we duke it out. Otherwise, if you enjoy the video, please feel free to like, share, comment. Let me know what you guys think, and subscribe. And that fucks up. Till next time, guys. Be amazing.
So here we are, man. You know, it's one thing to say it, and it's a whole nother thing to do it. White folks ain't got it in them to do what is right, just, and true. They don't have a moral fucking bone in their goddamn body. It's about high time that black folks around the globe, in particular America, accept that fact. Know that they have struck out in baseball. That we civilized these motherfuckers 3 times, they still don't get it. And it's over. We won. We're at the finish line. This is it. And it's just gonna get worse and worse and worse and worse for these people. You see, my words are not words of hate. They're words of righteous indignation. I hate injustice. It boiled my fucking blood to see all of the Palestinians who are being killed and blown up, and children missing limbs. The majority, possibly all 4 limbs, and they're still smiling, still laughing. And these fake ass Jews who are doing this, you see, you can't do wrong if that's the right to come to. It don't work that way. And believe me, you, Netanyahu, and all the rest of you motherfuckers, I can't stand your fucking asses. And all you fake ass Jews around the world, fuck you. You're going to and continue to get it, and it's going to get worse. Because we are the real Jews. Black people are. And we're going to take our shit back from you. We're going to beat your ass. That's what it's coming down to. Like the Bible says, and God's word has never come back voided. You'll be made into footstool. I don't even want to have you as a fucking footstool. Fuck you. Because it don't make no damn sense to do that. For what? And so now we're going to go into MAGA Indians want white women to have babies, but don't want to feed the baby. What the fuck up with that? I'll be right back.
That this administration has cut SNAP benefits. Over 1 million people, babies, will be without food. But you know, it's so ironic that they are doing this. Let me show you this article. If you all remember this, I think back in March of this year of 2025, when this administration came up with this incentive of $5,000 for women to have babies. Okay, let's unpack that. Hello, good people. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for being here. And if you are new, welcome. If you don't know who I am, my name is Martha. $5,000 for someone to have a baby. But right now, this administration don't even want to feed babies. So why would they want to have an incentive to pay women $5,000 to bring a baby into this world right now and going forward when they don't even want to feed the babies? Here we go again with some nonsense that do not make any sense, but this is what they're doing. When is it, MAGA people, when are you going to realize that this man do not care about you whatsoever? He wants you to bring a baby into this world where they don't even want to take care of the people in America. Figure that one out. But $5,000 to bring a baby into this God-forsaken place right now. Why do you think they would want to do something like that when they don't even want to feed the babies? So they are gaslighting women to pay them $5,000 to bring a baby into this world, and they are taking away benefits that would help a woman, if she needs it, to take care of the baby, when these foods don't even want to feed the babies. Make it make sense. Make it make sense.
And that 5,000 ain't gonna last
They're
long.
around here gaslighting people, still telling these bold-faced lies, taking away people insurance. Over 20 some odd days of the government being shut down. No remorse whatsoever. Don't care about anyone. Families are hurting. People are losing their jobs. And you want someone to bring a baby into this for $5,000. It takes more than $5,000 to raise a child. But this right here is just some nonsense. This government do not care about anyone. No one but the rich and the wealthy. So, MAGA people, when are you going to wake up and realize that he don't care about you? He don't. He has taken away everything from you. But you all are still so gun-ho to stick behind something that don't mean you any good. But I just thought this was ironic that they don't even want to feed the babies, taking away SNAP benefits for over 1 million people. You all don't even want to feed the babies, but you want someone to bring a baby into this. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. You all comment below and tell me what your thoughts are on this, because to me, again, it does not make any sense. Comment below and tell me what your thoughts are on this. And if you enjoyed this video, please check out my next video, because I think you will enjoy it.
We always do, Martha. Or at least I do. Okay, so tonight it's not hard to determine and to in which way this podcast is going. White folks are full of shit. They actually believe that they are superior. And what? Well, let me take that back. They are superior to black people and every other person on the planet. They're superiorly stupid, unwise, foolish, and dumb. That's it. And nobody ain't scared of you motherfuckers with your gun. We got guns too, bitch. You see, that's where you draw the line. And this black veteran stood on his front porch with a rifle, and you see all these cars filled with wannabe racist white folks, and he scared them away. I'll be right back.
Rated black veteran stood on his front porch with a rifle as 60 Ku Klux Klan vehicles rolled toward his home with torches and guns. They came to lynch him. They came to burn his house down with his family inside. They'd done it before to countless others, and no one had ever stopped them. But Robert F. Williams did something that night that no black man in the American South had done and survived. He looked into the eyes of the Klan, raised his weapon, and told them if they took one more step, it would be their last. And for the first time in Southern history, the Klan turned around and ran. This is the story of the man America tried to erase, because he proved something the government could never accept, that sometimes survival requires more than prayer. To understand Robert F. Williams, you have to understand what it meant to be a black veteran returning home to the South in the 1950s. These men had stormed beaches in Normandy. They had fought fascism in Europe and imperialism in Korea. They had worn the uniform, saluted the flag, and believed the promise that freedom was worth dying for. But when they came home, they found that freedom didn't apply to them. In Monroe, North Carolina, black people couldn't vote without facing violence. They couldn't sit at lunch counters. They couldn't look white people in the eye without risking their lives. And the Ku Klux Klan operated openly with the blessing of local police, judges, and politicians. Lynchings were still happening, but now they were called accidents or justified homicides. The message was clear. You are not citizens. You are subjects. And if you forget your place, we will remind you with a rope and a tree. Robert F. Williams was born in Monroe in 1925. He served in the Marines during World War II, came home, and worked as a mechanic. He watched his community live in constant terror. He watched mothers warn their sons never to speak to white women, never to walk alone at night, never to show pride or ambition. He watched grown men look at the ground when white teenagers insulted them. And he watched the NAACP, the organization supposed to protect black people, tell them to be patient, to protest peacefully, to wait for the law to change. But patience was getting people killed. In 1955, when Emmett Till was murdered for allegedly whistling at a white woman and his killers were acquitted, something broke inside Williams. He realized that nonviolence only works when your enemy has a conscience. The Klan had none. They had guns, and Williams decided his community needed guns too. In 1956, Robert F. Williams became president of the Monroe chapter of the NAACP. But he wasn't like other NAACP leaders. He didn't just organize sit-ins and petition drives. He recruited veterans, men who had fought in Korea, men who knew how to shoot, how to organize, how to defend a position. He told them something revolutionary. We will march peacefully, but we will not die peacefully. If they attack us, we shoot back. This terrified white Monroe. A black man with military training organizing other black men with guns? It was their worst nightmare. The local police began harassing Williams constantly. The Klan started planning his assassination. And even the NAACP national office grew nervous. This wasn't the respectable, non-threatening protest they wanted. This was something far more dangerous. Black people refusing to be victims. Then came 1957, and two cases that would change everything. In the first case, a white man brutally beat a pregnant black woman in broad daylight. He was arrested, brought to trial, and acquitted in less than an hour. The jury didn't even pretend to deliberate. That same week, two black boys, aged 8 and 10, were arrested and faced prison time for the crime of letting a white girl kiss them on the cheek. The hypocrisy was suffocating. Williams stood in front of reporters and said the words that would make him a hero to some and a wanted man to others. He said, "We must meet violence with violence. We must be willing to kill if necessary." America exploded. White newspapers called him a terrorist.
Now you see how this shit goes, man. This shit is really fucking up under my skin. It's not gonna be get up out of my skin until we just beat their fucking ass. They're playing the Wizard of Oz game, blowing smoke up everybody's ass, making themselves out to be more than what they are, and nothing but a bunch of bitches. Have always been like that. Will always be like that. And all you have to do is just pull back the curtain and bitch slap the shit out of them. That's it. Our problem is unity. Where there is unity with us and between ourselves, we take over. The other side is the curse. When there is no unity, we lose. Real simple. So if you want to stop fucking losing, my people, unify. Get your fucking guns and beat that ass, shoot that ass, and don't fucking play. Dude, my great-grandfather was Two-Gun Pete. He didn't play this fucking bullshit with white folks. You do well, speak well, white boy, and you're gonna get what you treated. But if you start talking about nigga this, nigga that, and nigga, alright, boom, either with the fist or with the bullet. Which one you want? It just depends on where you go, how you go. It don't matter.
A radical, a threat to the peaceful civil rights movement. Black newspapers called him what he was, a man finally telling the truth. The Ku Klux Klan decided Robert F. Williams had to die. On an October night in 1957, they assembled a motorcade, 60 cars, maybe more. Armed men with rifles, shotguns and pistols, torches to light the fires, gasoline to make sure the flames spread fast. They had done this ritual 1,000 times across the South. Roll into the black neighborhood, burn a few homes, shoot anyone who runs, and disappear into the night. The police would call it a tragedy. The newspapers would blame outside agitators, and life would go on. Except this time, something was different. As the Klan convoy approached Williams' neighborhood, they saw black men on rooftops, black men behind cars, black men in windows, and every single one of them was armed. Williams himself stood on his front porch, rifle in hand, surrounded by veterans who had survived actual war and weren't about to be intimidated by cowards in bedsheets. The Klan stopped, their engines idled. You could feel the tension crackling in the air like lightning before a storm. The Klan leader, emboldened by a century of unchallenged terror, shouted threats, told Williams he was a dead man, told him to send out his wife and children so they could watch him burn. Williams didn't flinch. He raised his rifle, and his voice carried across the night air, cold and steady. You take one step closer, and this will be the first and last mistake you make. Behind him, a dozen rifles cocked in unison. The sound was unmistakable. It was the sound of men who had decided they would rather die fighting than live on their knees. And in that moment, the Klan realized something they had never confronted before. These black men were not afraid. These black men were ready. And if the Klan attacked, some of them weren't going home. So they left. 60 cars, full of armed Klansmen, turned around and drove away. Not a single shot fired, not a single cross burned, not a single black person harmed. The story spread like wildfire through black communities across the South. Robert F. Williams had done the impossible. He had faced down the Klan and won. Black families who had lived in fear for generations suddenly saw a new possibility: survival. But white America saw something else. They saw a threat, and the system moved quickly to neutralize it. In 1959, the NAACP national leadership suspended Robert F. Williams. They said he was too radical, too violent, that he was damaging the movement. But the truth was simpler. He made white liberals uncomfortable.
This is what I'm talking about. When you got these bitch-ass fucking niggas cooning and trying to tell you to confront people with guns without a gun, you done lost your motherfucking mind. That's just how it is.
Civil rights movement was supposed to be about noble suffering, peaceful marches, and black people proving they deserved humanity by enduring brutality without fighting back.
Fucking, man, what? Wait. Let me play that shit, cause I know I know I did not just hear that.
Stability, survival, but white America saw something else. They saw a threat, and the system moved quickly to neutralize it. In 1959, the NAACP national leadership suspended Robert F. Williams. They said he was too radical, too violent, that he was damaging the movement. But the truth was simpler. He made white liberals uncomfortable. The civil rights movement was supposed to be about noble suffering, peaceful marches, and
suffering, peaceful marches, and black people proving they deserve humanity by enduring brutality. Are you man? Man, come on now. This is in the 50s, and this is why they needed to die any motherfucking way. Who who took down Dutch brothers. They need to die. Period. There's no deserve humanity by enduring brutality. Are you fucking kidding me? Chop your fucking head off and keep it moving.
Black people proving they deserved humanity by enduring brutality without fighting back. Williams disrupted that narrative. He said out loud what many black people had been thinking in private. If someone tries to kill you, kill them first. It wasn't murder, it was survival. But the NAACP chose respectability over reality. And Williams was cast out from the organization he had revitalized. Then, in 1961, the trap was set. During a protest in Monroe, a white couple drove into the black neighborhood and claimed they had been kidnapped. Williams, trying to de-escalate the situation, gave them refuge in his home and then let them leave unharmed. It didn't matter. Police charged him with kidnapping, a capital offense in North Carolina.
Now you see how wannabe slick white folks are? Fuck these motherfuckers, man. Fuck all white folks. They set this brother up for the fall. Set his ass up. He didn't see it, unfortunately, but don't believe a motherfucking thing that's coming out of a lying ass fucking mouth. Nothing. God damn.
It was an obvious setup, designed to get Williams into a courtroom where an all-white jury could sentence him to death legally. Williams faced an impossible choice: stay and die in a rigged trial, or run. He chose to live. He fled to Cuba. Fidel Castro granted Williams asylum, and from Havana, Williams launched something extraordinary. He started a radio program called Radio Free Dixie, broadcast directly into the American South. Every night, black families in Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and North Carolina secretly tuned their radios to hear Williams' voice. He told them they had the right to defend themselves, that they were not slaves, that they were warriors. The FBI tried to jam the signal. Southern police arrested people caught listening. But the message got through, and it inspired a generation. Malcolm X visited Williams in Cuba and called him a hero. A young Huey Newton and Bobby Seale read Williams' book, Negroes with Guns,
There you go.
and used it as the blueprint for the Black Panther Party. The Deacons for Defense and Justice formed in Louisiana, directly inspired by Williams' stand in Monroe. They protected Martin Luther King Jr. on his Southern tours, though King could never publicly thank them. Armed black resistance became a reality, and the Klan's reign of unchallenged terror began to crumble. Williams lived in exile for 8 years, first in Cuba, then in China, during the Cultural Revolution. Meanwhile, the FBI hunted his family and harassed anyone associated with him. The charges were eventually dropped in 1969, and Williams returned to America. But by then, the movement had moved on. Martin Luther King had been assassinated. Malcolm X had been assassinated. The Black Panthers were being destroyed by government infiltration. And Williams, the man who had started it all, faded into obscurity. He died in 1996, largely forgotten by mainstream America. But here's what they don't teach you in school. The civil rights movement didn't succeed just because of peaceful marches and beautiful speeches. It succeeded because white authorities knew that if they pushed too hard, black communities would push back with force. Robert F. Williams proved that armed black resistance was possible, effective, and terrifying to the establishment. The Klan didn't stop terrorizing Monroe because they suddenly grew a conscience. They stopped because they feared getting shot. And when that same model spread to other communities, the dynamics of power shifted. Suddenly, white sheriffs had to think twice before attacking protesters, because those protesters might have armed defenders watching from the shadows. Nonviolence and armed self-defense weren't opposites. They were partners. One provided moral clarity, the other provided survival. History erased Robert F. Williams because his story is dangerous. It proves that sometimes violence in self-defense isn't just justified, it's necessary. It proves that oppressors don't respond to morality. They respond to consequences. It proves that black people have never been passive victims waiting for white saviors. They have always fought back, with lawyers, with boycotts, with sit-ins, and yes, with rifles when their lives depended on it. Williams said it best himself. A man with a gun in his hand is a citizen. A man without one is a subject. The government prefers black heroes who don't fight back, who accept brutality with grace, who die beautifully for a cause. Robert F. Williams refused to be that kind of hero. He chose to live. He chose to fight. He chose to make the Klan run. And they've been trying to make you forget him ever since.
Man, hold on. I'm coming down with a cold. It seems like it's going right into my lungs, but I hope not, because we had our son in the hospital for like 3 or 4 days with that, and had to be nebulized, right? So, but anyway, we're almost done. Okay, so we're at the end almost. This is only like 4 minutes, and I don't know if this is a movie or is it a trailer or it's something that somebody created. But you white folks need to go back to Central Asia where we put you. You don't belong in Europe. You don't belong in no motherfucking place but where we put you, Central Asia. Take your fucking asses, troglodyte asses back there and start over. I'll be right back.
Where are we supposed to go? Back to where it began. The Caucasus Mountains. Build something better there.
Daddy, I don't want to go to the Caucasus Mountains. I want to stay here.
You are ordered to evacuate peacefully. The mountains await your rebuilding. This is a troglodyte we're dealing with!
They said we gotta leave tonight. They're taking us to the mountains. Tell them we're family. They said we gotta leave tonight. They're taking us to the mountains. Tell them we're family. I don't want to go to the Caucasus Mountains. I want to stay
You ain't none of my motherfucking family. Take your ass on that goddamn plane and get it going.
She's my family! You can't decide who I love! Move them, now! You leave tonight to the Caucasus.
Every American citizen of European descent will be relocated.
They can't really do this, can they?
For the sake of this nation, they will go. And they will endure.
They're sending us to freeze.
Then we don't freeze. We survive.
Then you should have said something when harm was done.
Then you should have said something when the harm was done. You never said shit. Fuck you. But anyway, that's the end of the program tonight. And I'm hoping that it really hits home to you white boys and girls, because y'all done got way out of pocket and y'all ain't coming back. So that would mean that you have to admit that you're not who you say you are, and you're not. Blumenbach and Meisner started that bullshit and said on their deathbed, at some point in the future, if the descendants of these so-called wannabe white people will come back to bite them in the ass. Well, that is now. That is now, sir. You cannot escape the consequences. There are consequences for you when you're doing bad and doing wrong, when you're not being held accountable. You reap what you sow, and so shall you reap. What goes around comes around, motherfucker. That's not hate. That is righteous indignation. And to be honest with you, I don't give a fuck. I would step over your motherfucking asses the way you stepped over my ass. You never called the police and say, this guy did that. You motherfucker never called the police. and say this, that, and the other happened, and who did what. You laughed at it. You laughed at baby being killed, fed to alligators. You laughed at when a young man from Chicago, I'm trying to remember his name, and his mother said, "Be careful down there in Mississippi," and he blew his body. And the beat goes on and on and on. It's just too much. Too much for you motherfuckers to do right. You don't have it in you. You've been getting on the by and by with a slap on the wrist, motherfucker. But I can tell you from here on out, it's over. There is no kumbaya from black folk. We sitting this motherfucker out. We're gonna get our shit. We're gonna take over America and the world, and we're gonna be done with you, motherfucker. Fuck you. You had your chance to get it right and do the right thing. You never did. So as far as I'm concerned, if I see a motherfucker and I need to spit in your motherfucking mouth to save you, I ain't doing it. I'm stepping right over your motherfucking dead body. The same way you did my ancestors. I'm still doing this shit. Still killing our people. Still doing this, that, and the other. Because you don't give a fuck. You think this shit is funny. But we're going to show you funny. The sword of Islam is cutting through your motherfucking asses to the bone, and it don't give a fuck. And the last thing, the 3-Ayat Atlas. I don't know if you guys heard about that or not. Supposed to be coming here tomorrow and landing. I'm calling it bullshit. I'm calling it bullshit. Hold on. And where it might be at. Hold on. Let me bring. And this is what it look like right here. I'm calling it bullshit, man. Some alien ship supposed to be landing and doing that tomorrow. I don't believe it until it happens. The countdown starts tomorrow. 3-Ayat Atlas will re-emerge from behind the sun. Prepare. So the moment it passes out of the sun, it will appear again on a different path than the one previously expected. It will factually be the proof that the object is technical, hence alien. Bullshit. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. But then again, you know, it is what it is, and we're gonna see. Hold on, let me get out of here, and we're gonna see tomorrow what all this ruckus and buckets about. Hold on. Sorry about that. I hate it when those motorcycles go by. But you know how young people are. But anyways, I want to thank those who stopped by, and hopefully I can get over this cold that I get. Hopefully it won't go into my lungs. I've been in the hospital. I don't like hospital. But anyway, for the next 24/7, 365, stay black. See you Saturday night at 8 p.m.